Welcome to today's lecture on fats. So today's takeaways are going to be what are fats, the types of fats and the divisions, sources of fats, how much do you actually need, and can they aid in weight loss? So, what are the fats? They're an energy source for the body. They're essential in only a small amount. And when I mean minuscule, I'm not meaning small, but relatively small. And the most important aspect is 9 calories per gram. And that's it. Like, if you remember from the protein and the carbs lecture, protein has 4 calories, carbs has 4 calories, where fats have 9 calories. So, quite a bit of discrepancy there, but not too bad. And then we've got the main types of fats. So we have saturated fats, unsaturated fats, and trans fat. When it comes to saturated fat, it's basically a fat molecule with no double bonds. Now, when you're looking at food that contains saturated fat, you're looking at the likes of lamb, pork, beef, poultry with skin on it, butter, cream. That's the types of food that we're looking at that have saturated fat. Now, a lot of the studies been on trans fats and saturated fats, have put it in the negative side of things. Trans fats, which we'll get to and we'll talk about its problems. Saturated fat still a little bit out. Now, obviously, we don't want to be eating too much saturated fat within the day. However, a decent amount of saturated fat is still good, and overconsumption will lead to clear changes within your blood lipid levels as well as cholesterol levels. And then unsaturated fats. So when it comes to unsaturated fats, they're usually liquid at room temperature. Predominantly, these things are going to help with cholesterol, lowering overall blood lipids. They're also going to ease inflammation throughout the body. Most of the unsaturated fats come from the likes of vegetables as well as roots and nuts, and pretty much majority of those things. And then when it comes to trans fats, stay away. Yep, just stay away. They're terrible. That's the one thing that does cause problems with cholesterol and everything in the body. Predominantly, trans fats are going to be found in the likes of pastries and cakes. That's where you're going to see the most of their bad things going to be. Now, an interesting fact, pure trans fat is not allowed on the market anymore because of how terrible it is. However, you're still going to see partially amount of trans fats coming into certain aspects, and that's where it comes into cakes and like that. So stay away from trans fats as much as you truly can. So now when we move on to the next section, we're going to show you the saturated, monosaturated, and polyunsaturated. So when we spoke about saturated fat at the beginning, we touched on a few of their sources, and one of them, as you can see in the picture, is milk. Then you have cream, you have your lambs, your porks, your beefs. You have butter in there as well, some low-fat milks as well, and creams still have saturated fats in them. And then you come on to monounsaturated, which is going to be, as you can see there, peanuts, canola oils, olives. You've got seeds, pumpkin seeds, all come into monounsaturated. For polyunsaturated fats, you come into the likes of your, once again, canola oil, which is higher in mono, but it's still very high in polyunsaturated fats. Then you're looking at the likes of fish as well, comes in there, and you can see you've got your nuts again in that realm. Other parts to think about with polyunsaturated fat is going to be your omega-3s and 6s and 9s. Predominantly, you want to be focusing on omega-3 since we get quite a bit of omega-6 and 9 anyway through our diets. Good thing about omega-3, heart health, overall health, eye health, brain health. Like, there are so many things that are linked to omega-3 and the health aspect. It is just going to spend too much time going through all the benefits in it. However, definitely think about looking at ways to incorporate more types of mono and poly into your diet. So this is giving you a little bit of sources of ideas for fats. Then you got your avocado, which is a monounsaturated. And then once again, we go into our seeds and nuts, as we got a bit of butter and cream and cheese, and as well as coconuts. So how much do you truly need to stay alive and not to drop below, you don't drop dead, you need about 15% of total calories. And then when you go health and fat loss, you kind of want to go to 0.5 to 1.2 grams per kilogram. That's kind of where you want to be in that region, for the very essence that the one region allows a good amount of fat within the diet, but when you start dieting, you also have a place to pull back. I don't recommend, from my own personal clients and I'm working with people, don't go below 0.6. However, 0.5 is definitely still doable for a lot of people. And then you've got a ketogenic diet. So the ketogenic diet is essentially no carbs. Crazy, I know. So it's 0 carbs, or pretty much low carbs, moderate amount of protein, and high amount of fats. So what we're trying to do is use the body's ability to turn fats into glucose so the body can fuel itself. So when you come into that position, you want 1.2 grams plus, and you're going to basically factor up to wherever your calories are. So when it comes to ketogenic diets, it's predominantly going to be a fat-based diet with a decent amount of protein and pretty much 0 to very little carbs. The reason why it's not high protein and medium fat is that protein can be turned into glucose as well. So there's going to be a decent amount of fat coming into it that you need the body to fuel itself. So, can it aid in weight loss? It may elevate your fullness. So fat has the ability to elevate fullness from time to time in a lot of people. Using that means that you can then obviously lower your overall calorie consumption, which is a wonderful thing if you're on a diet. So that's a plus, and helps keep optimal health, ensuring weight loss. Without it, you're going to be in a pretty crappy position. So when you elevate your fullness as well as keep optimal health and everything's in good check, so then weight loss can start truly occurring. And the wonderful thing with fats as well is that as you start increasing your overall consumption of the, as we term it, healthy fats, so you're going to be eating a lot more in terms of fiber, a lot more better carbs, as well as a lot of better oils, so in terms of canola, avocado, and olive oil. And you're going to see a lot less inflammation. You're going to see a lot better processing of the food you're eating, which is then once again good for energy as well as good for weight loss. So when it comes to wrapping things up, trans fats should be limited as much as possible. Like, limit! Fat is needed in small amounts in the body. Saturated fat is not the devil, but should be taken care of. I.e., you can still eat saturated fats, just don't go crazy on saturated fats. Stick to mono and polyunsaturated, which is, as you can see, polyunsaturated fatty acids and monounsaturated fatty acids should be prioritized in one's diet. So once again, keep an array of fruits and vegetables, change up some of the oils you use. So if you're always using rapeseed, use some canola oil. If you're always using olive, have a little bit of change in there, use some avocado oil, change to different seeds, have different nuts, play around with different fishes to ensure that you're getting a true variety through a week, as well as hitting all the targets you need. Thank you for listening to this lecture, and see you in the next one.